Hello and welcome to More Movies Weekly number 12.
Kill him, Mort! Kill him! You don't really mean you'll kill me, do you?
This is the podcast where we like to talk about films and all things cinema related and have a lot of fun doing so. If you're joining us for the first time, welcome to the show. If you're a returning viewer, welcome back. My name's Greg Fisher. This legend sitting next to me is David Roberts. How's it going, Dave?
I'm very well, sir. Very well. How are you doing, sir?
I'm all the better for seeing you, my friend. Got a lot to talk about this week, so let's get straight into it. So, Dave, this week we've been watching a film from one of our favourite filmmakers of all time, master filmmaker Steven Spielberg. This film is one that you hadn't seen before. I'd watched it. I wanted you to see it, see what you thought about it. The film is Ready Player One, which is a great little film. If you ask me, I really enjoyed it. Stars Ty Sheridan, Olivia Cooke, Ben Mendelsohn, and count the number of references that are in this film, and you'll be there all night. You'll run out of fingers, right?
Yeah, this is it's a film missed at the time because it kind of like brushed aside, and people criticised it at the time. It kind of
they did.
Passed by, so I just didn't get around to watching it. And as you say, you said go and watch it. It's great fun, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. I had so much fun watching it.
Good.
The cast was brilliant. I've really great young cast. It reminded me of all those 80s movies, which is clearly where the heart of this movie sits.
Big time.
It was great escapism, basically.
Yeah.
And I was thoroughly just into it, going, yeah, this is. I want to be here. I want to go to the Oasis.
Yeah, exactly. You want to put those VR goggles on and dive right in and become one of the characters.
That's it. It was tremendous. It really, really impressed me and took me a bit by surprise, really, I think.
So just to fill people in who might not have seen it, the film follows a young character played by Ty Sheridan called Parzival, and he lives in basically a nasty waste ground kind of place, a dystopian future that's not too far from our own, if you will. He lives in a trailer, but once he pops his VR goggles on and he enters the Oasis, he is, for want of a better word, a legend. The guy is like the ultimate gamer. He can score all the points. Everybody wants to be like him. Everybody wants a piece of him. All the enemies are out to get him. So basically, this is somebody who is themselves experiencing pure escapism in the sense that they are a different character within the digital realm than they are within the actual world. And yeah, I mean, this guy, he's basically a gamer, isn't he? This is a film not only for nerds and geeks like us who love 80s movies and all of the Spielberg back catalogue, but also who love gaming.
Absolutely. It's very much a film that it's like playing Fortnite. It's like playing World of Warcraft or something like that. It's a big, massive multiplayer online kind of experience.
Yeah. And
it's very much rooted in that idea. But again, that's nothing new, really, because
Tron. It's Tron.
Lots of people, go back to things like Tron and The Last Starfighter and stuff like that in terms of it's transforming into a different world. And really that goes back to things like, Chronicles of Narnia or something going into this different world or something like that.
Yeah. Probably goes back to even Greek mythology beyond that, where, nothing is original, so to speak. And this is one of the interesting conversations you and I had about this film, is that it was heavily criticized for being derivative, for being, just basically full of Easter eggs for people to, geek out on and say, oh, that's the DeLorean from Back to the Future, or that's the, Iron Giant, or whatever it is, all these different things that they threw in there. But I found it to be a lot more than that. It was a fantastic Spielberg adventure ride.
Yeah, I think there's obviously been quite a lot of criticism about, is it just surface? It is absolutely reference back to that. On the surface, looking into it, you think, oh, it's just that. That's all it is. It's just silly, loads of silly references to different things and whatnot, and all that's brilliant. I was sitting there just having a ball, pulling things like RoboCop, Duke Nukem in there, Master Chief from Halo, Jason from Friday the 13th, of course, the DeLorean, as you mentioned. I think the funniest was the holy hand grenade from Monty Python. I thought that's getting obscure.
The holy hand grenade of Antioch.
We have the holy hand grenade.
Yes, of course.
How does it work?
I know not, my liege.
Consult the Book of Armaments.
You know, it's one worth going back to just to how many Easter eggs can you find to keep on watching the film and seeing what you can look at.
It's packed.
It is packed. But after watching it, I kind of thought a lot of people are pointing to Tron and Last Starfighter, and I get that, and I get all the references. But as you say, it's got a lot more to it. And actually, I came away thinking it's more akin to something like Goonies.
Right.
It's more akin to like John Hughes movies. I think the gang going on an adventure, the romance storyline, all that, the group of young kids, the young actors who did a fantastic role. It's the heart of those. We talked before about the heart of 80s movies and what that grabs you with. Yeah. That's what we're sitting in the middle of it. And of course, Spielberg knows how to do that better than most, really.
He does, and it's such a great experience to watch a modern film by him where he hawks back to kind of that era that he sort of came up in the 80s. Yeah. But this is a more mature filmmaker years later, self-referencing, yes, but also reminding us about this kind of heart in a film and what films are actually about are about the personal stories of the characters and not about all of the glitz and glamour around them. I found it really refreshing in that sense. It's kind of like Quentin Tarantino in a way, is like self-referencing, but if you sat down and analyzed it academically, there's a hell of a lot to pick through there and unpack and discuss, just in terms of, the filmmaker talking about the state of storytelling nowadays and how special effects have impacted cinema. And part of the reason for that is him, Steven Spielberg himself holding his hands up and saying, I've got to take responsibility for some of this sort of like, special effects revolution that we've all experienced in the last 30, 40 years.
And that's one thing, the special effects look great.
Oh, it's the best you can get.
Yeah, I was kind of thinking, it's going to look a bit,
Never. Not with Spielberg. I just don't think he'd let it slide.
No, but we've reached that point now, haven't we, where you're sitting there going, actually, this looks great,
We have, but there has been several modern films, like, for example, the Justice League, where you pointed out that the SFX, digital effects, so to speak, were a bit dodgy, and you were right to point that out because they were in some scenes. But I just don't think someone like Spielberg would let that pass. If it was a scene or so where it's like that's a little bit dodgy, it would get fixed with Spielberg because he's Spielberg.
There's perhaps elements of people taking it too seriously because ultimately this is a kids' movie.
Yeah, exactly.
Like teenage movie,
a family film.
Yeah, it's. This ain't War and Peace or something, or 1984. This is This is popcorn stuff.
Yeah,
but it has got a heart and soul in it.
And I
just
think
like
it
those
has got
classic 80s movies did.
I think it's got a message as well about living in the real world and the things that we value in the real world compared to that which we value in the digital realm, which at the end of the day doesn't even exist. And a hell of a lot of people are now spending a good portion of their lives in a digital realm.
In digital, yeah.
Whether that be gaming or, these kind of like online, Second Life, remember that? Things like that. And, you just think, geez, no one's living in the real world anymore. I mean, it's nice in a sense that we've got that extra sort of virtual reality sphere where we can experience these things that have never been possible before. You can put on a VR headset, Oculus Rift or whatever, and be transported to a, completely different world, even though you're just standing right next to your fireplace in the living room. But, like I say, I think the message behind it is one that really speaks to people's emotions, and the main emotion being, love.
Yeah, because I think one of the criticisms has been about the writing, and I think that there is bits of the dialogue and stuff you can go. It's a little bit ropey at times, but it's a very visual film. I think that's the important thing. It's a film about looking at it and taking it in and going, "What's this trying to say to me?" And we talked about the dystopian future, they're all living on wrecked cars and in caravans and, places that look
containers.
Horrendous.
Yeah, it's
And
like
that
something
already
out of
exists.
District 9 or something.
Yeah, exactly. And that already exists now if you go to Asia and stuff.
Yeah,
Those places
third world
in
is
the world.
rife with people living like that. Probably a lot
And
worse.
it's
in
kind
most
of a
places.
call of this is what could be. You know, and I think that's an important little thread that's in there in terms of the future can be very bleak if you
Sure.
don't sort this out, you know.
So, yeah, we've mentioned the young actors are great in it, but it also features one of my favourite older actors, Ben Mendelsohn,
Yeah.
who's an Australian actor, really great. Most people will know him from Star Wars Rogue One, where he played Director Krennic.
Don't choke on your ambition, director.
You'll speak to the Emperor about...
Be careful not to choke on your aspirations, Director.
That's him. And he also had a small part in Dark Knight Rises, and he was in things like Killing Them Softly and A Place Beyond the Pines, more serious stuff, and shows his acting chops. He's a real good one.
Yeah, he was really good in Animal Kingdom as well. Played a great role in that film.
He's a really cool actor. I like to see him in anything. When he turns up, it's like, for me, it's like bankable. I'll watch it.
Yeah, as soon as he turned up, like he came on screen in this, because I didn't see he was in it before, and then he turned up on screen, I thought, here we go, we're in for one here, because he's great. He's just the ultimate panto bad guy, isn't he?
He can be, yeah. He really, I think he sort of can step into those roles really well, because as we mentioned in some of those other more serious thrillers or dramas, he's very good in them. He's like, he was in The King as well, with Timothée Chalamet. He played, Henry IV, the father, the dying king. And he's excellent in roles like that. But if you put him in something like this, he's equally as good as the kind of deliciously evil villain, Yeah. So always great to see him. But yeah, I mean, I'd recommend this film to anyone who hadn't seen it, who likes Spielberg films. Anyone who's not too curmudgeonly and grumpy about their films, and I probably wouldn't recommend it to them. But people who just like a hell of a, wide gamut of films, an eclectic taste in films, if you will, then Ready Player One should be on your list,
Yeah, it's it gets a thumbs up. The Terminator thumbs up from the Iron Giant in that scene.
Yeah, that's it. It was really cool, that.
Yeah, love all the references. It's not one. My nan probably wouldn't like it, but
No.
if you like us, you'll love it. I think it's one.
Yeah,
of them.
absolutely. It's a film for geeks, a film for film buffs, and it's a film for gamers.
Yeah, and it's based on the book by Ernest Cline.
Yeah.
Ready Player One. He just last year released Ready Player Two,
Right.
and they're talking about doing a sequel. And for once, I am well up for that. I'm well up for a sequel.
Well, this is the thing about sequels. I don't mind sequels if they're made in, fairly rapid succession to a certain movie. For example, Back to the Future. A couple of years later, they made Back to the Future 2 and 3 back to back, so they could get them out quickly. And that's one of the most perfect trilogies I can think of in cinema. But it's when they wait 20, 30 years and they're like out of ideas and they're like, oh, let's get one of the old ideas. Let's make War Games 2. No, let's fucking not,
Yeah.
But yeah, I'd be up for that. I'd watch it. If Spielberg was attached to it again, then definitely, yeah, why not? Yeah. It's more fun than you expect. And if you haven't seen it, check it out.
Do I have to wear a sign saying, I am 11 years old, shoot me first? No thanks. Dude, give me a hug. Ninjas don't hug.
Okay, so in other news this week, we have seen that Harrison Ford is in the UK filming Indiana Jones 5, and there's been some pictures released. We've put them up on the screen now for you to see. There's Harrison, all masked up, of course, because we're still in the midst of the
COVID restrictions.
Pandemic restrictions, of course. But undeniably, as soon as you see that fedora and the leather jacket, there he is. There's the man himself. So
that's it.
People have been getting excited. Some people commenting, oh, he's old. He's old. Is he too old? It's like, well, obviously he's not too fucking old because he's doing the movie. I mean, if you think back to some of the stuff in the 50s and that started in the 30s and you get these older actors, then they would be returning to the roles. Like Humphrey Bogart was quite old when he did some of his most famous action picks and stuff. So, get over yourselves. It's Indiana Jones. I'm not bothered if he's old. I'm only bothered if it's a shit film.
Well, that's it. We'll see what the end product is.
If it's a great film, doesn't matter how old he is.
It's there is spotted on location near Pickering in North Yorkshire. This is a bit different.
Bloody hell, that is a bit different. Indiana Jones and the cup of tea.
Gets a cup of tea, Indiana.
Yorkshire brew.
And would you like a cup of tea too, mate?
Nothing closer to my heart than a good cup of British char.
They're, of course, filming all over the UK and, of course, at Pinewood Studios. Best in the land. So, yeah, it's going to be fun. Probably see some more pictures over the coming weeks, I imagine.
Sure, yeah. So what else? Did you see this thing about George Lucas taking back control of Star Wars? Uncle George has had enough of this bullshit and he's back.
Ultimate power.
It's unlimited power. Everyone always gets that wrong. He says, unlimited power.
It's it's a strange rumour, this one. There's been, to be honest, over the last 18 months or so, there's been so many rumours about the top of Lucasfilm. Ever since, I think, Last Jedi turned out to be a fucking turkey. There's been so much kind of, stuff's happening at the top of Lucasfilm, what's going on, we know last year, mid-2020, Dave Filoni was promoted to executive producer and the creative director of everything in the studio to kind of put someone overseeing everything. And of course, Dave Filoni is very popular with the fans. Clone Wars and Rebels, and he's done a lot of great stuff. Worked with Jon Favreau quite a lot. There's been rumours for a while that Kathleen Kennedy's going to retire and step down and whatnot. So it's interesting now that George Lucas's name's been brought back into the pile.
You know what? Of all of this Star Wars crap that's happened in the last 10 years about the, Last Jedi, onwards, Rise of Skywalker, whatever, I don't think it's Kathleen Kennedy's fault. Loads of people blame her because she's been the overseeing producer. But if you look back at her career and how she's worked closely with Lucas and Spielberg over the years, she has produced some of your favorite films you've ever watched in your life. So when people, they just need somebody to blame, it's Kathleen Kennedy's fault. I don't think it is. I think, these films would have been turd no matter who made those decisions, and it's just a scapegoat, because the woman has got a track record of excellence, and that's why she was appointed to it in the first place. They wouldn't have turned it over to her if they thought she'd done a terrible job. But unfortunately, some of the films just happen to be crap, but I don't think it's her fault, because if it is, then we have to equally say, well, great job on Rogue One, great job on The Mandalorian, because she's responsible for all that as well. But anyway, that's my Kathleen Kennedy gripe out the way, because I just hate it when people just dogpile her just for the sake of it, probably because she's a woman and these people are, I don't like her, but they don't know enough about her in that case.
No. The only bad thing to come out of it all was the new trilogy. And the reality with that was there's a collective responsibility for everyone who was involved in it that they got wrong because they didn't plan it.
I blame J.J. Abrams.
J.J. Abrams.
He never cares about the story. He never does. He's all about the spectacle, never about the story. Look what happened with Lost.
Yeah. And
I rest my case.
And he came out with that in that interview, was it last week or the week before, when he said, we didn't make a plan and that's where the films failed. It's like, well, you were in fucking charge of the first one. Why didn't you make a plan?
Too busy counting the cash. Do we need to make a plan, JJ? No, we'll make it afterwards. We'll make the plan afterwards.
Which is exactly what we said all along, that if it just had a consistent idea of where it was going,
if it needed, it needed that. I don't know whether George would have done a better job, though.
Well,
maybe he would have, though. Maybe he learned all his lessons by goofing the prequels, which I love, by the way.
Yeah, I love prequels.
Them. But obviously, they are open to a lot of attack from the fandom and from people who say that, too much CGI. We've joked about it many times ourselves, that clip, have I gone too far?
I may have gone too far in a few places.
Yes, probably did, because everybody's afraid to tell you, George, that you've gone too far because you're George Lucas.
Yeah.
Even Steven Spielberg is one of the only people that would tell him, you've gone too far, George. But he probably wasn't around. He's busy doing other stuff. But yeah, there we go. If he comes back into the picture, I don't blame him. But, I certainly don't blame Kathleen Kennedy. Get off your high horse if you do. She's done an all right job. I'm sure she doesn't lose any sleep over it. Okay, so we were talking about Ready Player One earlier with that whole video games movie crossover. Have you heard that they are about to release a Vertigo game based on the Alfred Hitchcock 1958 classic suspense thriller?
Good evening.
It's this dropped as we're filming it dropped yesterday. This out of nowhere a trailer for this game is coming out at the end of the year. Announcement at Vertigo video game. Apparently, you get to play as 3 characters, and there's all kinds of timing stuff where you can move throughout the plot.
You can play as Scotty, and it's time to have a nightmare. It seems like a strange film to make a video game about.
Yeah, when I saw it, and I was just like, of every film I could think of, that's almost the last one.
Even Psycho would be a better choice because let's see how many people you can.
How many can you kill before the cops? Find out?
Yeah, before the cops bust you. It's Martin Balsam coming up the stairs.
It's just
1,000 points.
Incredibly bizarre.
You have unlocked Mother's costume. In it, I'm all for Psycho, but then you've got the whole run as well: Psycho 2, Psycho 3, Psycho 4.
I really don't understand it. It might be very interesting, but
they're about the birds, and it could be like Duck Hunt used to be the Nintendo game, and you have to shoot the birds.
Survival on the island, like that'd be really great.
How about Rear Window? See how many neighbours you can spy on before you get arrested for being a pervert.
Get arrested for being a peeping Tom, yeah.
Yeah, very strange. Very strange.
Very strange.
I myself am strange and unusual.
Well, there we go. So tweet of the week this week goes out to one of our great Twitter pals, Michelle, who has been at the Durham Bulls Athletic Park in North Carolina and took this photo we put up on screen now, which of course ties into the wonderful film Bull Durham, starring Kevin Costner, Susan Sarandon, Tim Robbins, a baseball movie from the 80s. You ever seen it?
I haven't.
Sinner!
Please call me a cocksucker and you're out of here! You're a cocksucker! You're a cocksucker! Out of here! Shit!
It's a great film. Like I was telling you, I had a real penchant for watching baseball movies from that era. So you had things like Bull Durham, you had Field of Dreams, you had Major League with Charlie Sheen. Of all those great American sports movies, it was the baseball ones I really used to love. And Bull Durham is an excellent film. So well done to Michelle for popping that up there on Twitter. And, top that Twitter. If you can do any better than that, we'll find out and we'll put it up on the next podcast. Okay, so this week, as usual, we have been busy on our website, so you can go and see our This Week in Film History post, which is packed full of events, releases, births, deaths from the movie industry that have occurred this week throughout history. So go and check that out. That's always a good, interesting read if you like factoids and tidbits from the world of cinema.
Absolutely, and we also have a reaction coming up in the next couple of days on our YouTube channel for Werewolves Within. So remember to subscribe to the YouTube channel and press the bell icon for notifications so that you can check that out when it lands.
And talking about reaction videos, we have released one this week for Here Today, which is the new Billy Crystal comedy vehicle. So if you're interested to know our thoughts on the trailer for that film, go and check that out. That's here on the YouTube channel. Again, link below if you want to check it out. We've also done a top 5 article for our top 5 Brian De Palma films. Brian De Palma, a master of suspense and thrillers, definitely a son of a Hitchcock in a lot of ways. So we've listed our top 5 films there. You can check that article out, link below in the description.
And I've done a review of Uncle Frank, film in 5. That's up on the website and on the YouTube channel. Again, link in the description below, so go check that out as well.
And that's it. And come and join us on social media at More Movies For You across most of them. So yeah, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, stuff like that, where we do silly things like the movie of the day, which is something like this. Who's with me? The Force is with me. You all know this is the best one, right? Phantom Menace. Oh, yeah. Whew. Another scorcher. Well, there's only one thing to do. Put the Factor 50 on, grab a Cornetto, and enjoy a good old bit of British hot fuzz. Now go on. Jog on. So listen up. A lot of people are going to owe me an apology when they realize I've been right all along. They're already here, man. They're working amongst us. Check it out. Arrival by Denis Villeneuve. This is not science fiction, this is science fact. And there we go, my friend. That's another week from us on More Movies Weekly. We will be taking next week off, so we will see you in 2 weeks' time with episode number 13. Lucky for some, probably not lucky for us, but we'll see. And thanks again for joining us, and stay tuned, and remember to keep watching more movies.
That's it for this video. Let us know your thoughts in the comments down below. And remember to like, share and subscribe right here on YouTube. For more film reviews and articles, why not check out our website moremovies.co.uk, and join us on social media at More Movies For You. That's across the board. Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, you know the score. If you want to support us, you can buy us a coffee at buymeacoffee.com, link in the description down below. And for more filmtastic content, click on one of the buttons on screen now.